Hello, this is the Roach with Rocha, and I'm here with another episode of Off the Wall. Today, what I want to talk about is what I'm going to call a crony staffing network. So, I've worked in many different jobs and with many larger corporations and a few smaller businesses as well. And as I've worked through these, I've found that most businesses have a crony staffing network. And so I guess what we need to do is we need to talk about what that is. But before we do that, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment down below. You didn't think I'd forget, did you? Okay, anyways, so a crony staffing network is um, a group of people or individuals in the company who are part of a good old boys club or good old persons club, I guess, because men or women can be in it, of course. But um, so what happens is usually there's a couple of people at the head, and they are basically the head cronies, basically. And then they have a whole bunch of people underneath them and within the company in other positions that basically are their buddies. And that's why they get promotions and better positions faster and easier, even over people with more experience or a longer tenure at the company. So I think this can exist in any size of company. So let's take a small company. This is a company that has an owner or a head manager, we'll say, at the head, and then it has some workers. So even at this level, there can be a crony network. There can be the boss, the owner, the manager, um, and he might have certain people that he favors above others among his workers. These workers may or may not have the experience or the time worked at the business for the promotions, but they will still get the promotions. They'll still be put as leads over the other people. They'll still be favored. So if something goes wrong, it's not going to be blamed on them. It's going to be blamed on somebody else. Uh, in these smaller businesses, a lot of the time there's not upper positions to put all the cronies in, or even if there's only one or two cronies, they might be floor leads or something like that. But that's the highest position that they can have, simply because it's basically them and the boss that are in charge. Um, but then also this works as well as when there's a position available, and say they have a family member who needs a job, and they'll hire that family member instead of the most qualified person for the job. So mostly what this does is it makes it so that um, people in the business, the base level workers or other workers in the company or the business, um, those positions get filled by not on a merit system, but on simply a the boss has a certain person that they like better. Most companies have some of this, so it's the boss's bias that actually allows them to get into these positions. Most companies have this. I've seen it many, many times. Um, in almost every place that I've worked, there's been some of this that happens, some of the crony staffing network stuff that happens. Networks or systems, you could call them either. I kind of debated between the two, and I like the network idea because it's kind of a group of people connected by certain things. Because so then you go to a mid-sized business. Okay, so this is a boss. He's got a few managers and then workers underneath. Well, that boss could have his biases, and he could place people in based on his biases. And then those managers as well, they can place people based on their biases rather than on their merit, on their experience, on their time served, on things like that that are merit based. These people have put in the time, so they should be getting the positions. However, it's not them that gets the positions because this boss or that boss says this person is the one that I want. The where it's most prevalent and where it gets the biggest though is in big business or organizations. So in big business and organizations, what happens is um, you've got several layers of management. So you have your base floor workers, then you've got the floor managers. Well, then you have managers that manage the floor managers, and you have managers that manage those flat managers as well sometimes. And so there's several layers of managers in the business or the organization. And so any of the people in these upper levels who have some say in who gets what position and where people are where people are placed as far as posted for their position in that job. So they if they have any say in who gets hired or who gets put in positions, then that is um, a crony staffing network that's attached to it or part of it. So how do these be how are these created? How do crony staffing networks come to be? Well, for small businesses, it's pretty simple. Basically, the boss has preferences. He has the nephew that needs a job, and so that nephew gets hired instead of somebody else, and the network just gets started that way. See, and then not only that, but now he's hired the nephew, and now he might even promote that nephew over promoting somebody else in the business who's been there for 10, 15 years even. Um, is it fair? No, absolutely not. Crony staffing systems are not designed around any kind of fair system whatsoever. Is it legal? Yes, it is. It's completely legal. It's completely doable and is done all the time. Should it be legal? Yes, it should be legal. You should be able to hire based on some biases. Um, Now, honest, they shouldn't be able to discriminate against people or say you can't be hired because of your skin color or your race or gender or whatever else. That they shouldn't be able to do. But um, biases and preferences are still up to the person in charge. And really, it doesn't matter how many minorities or people that um, are protected under the Civil Rights Act. So under the Civil Rights Act, that's where people are protected from discrimination. And even if they're protected under the Civil Rights Act, uh, and there are minorities that are applying for a job, the boss still has some degree of being able to hire based on his or her personal preference. And how that will work is so his nephew's going for a job, but also there are some people of different minorities that are going for that same job. Well, he hires his nephew anyway because it's his personal preference that he wants to hire his nephew. And that's still legal, it's still doable. Um, and it's not because and that's the thing, they'd have to prove that the reason that he hired was because of the minority status. So if, say, a black person and a woman, or even a black woman, were um, were applying for the job, well, this particular bias wasn't based on their skin color. It wasn't based on their um, individual looks or who they were, whether they were male or female. It wasn't based on any of that. It was based on family relations. And you can discriminate based on family relations. It's not cool. It's not right in a lot of ways, but it is completely legal, and it probably should be completely legal. Um, because if you go too far down that road of this person discriminated based on this and this person discriminated based on this, and so we should make it so that you can't discriminate against anybody for any reason, then you're going to get a completely merit-based system, which is preferred, which is the right way to do it. But just because it's the right way to do it doesn't mean it's going to be the way that it's done. And people should be able to make wrong decisions. Should they be able to make lots of wrong decisions that affect a lot of other people? Well, that's debatable. But where you really want to fight this crony staffing network stuff is you want to fight it within the business. You want to basically call them out on the fact that they are discriminating, that they are playing favoritism towards a certain individual for some reason or other. And you want to make sure that they understand that that is favoritism, that is not merit based, and that the best way to do it would be merit based. Basically, make your argument for the right choice. Don't tell them that they have to make that right choice, but make the argument for the right choice. At least that's what I think. That's how I think that this should be dealt with, is basically just talking to them about the fact that the right choice is to hire people based on merit. Hire the best person for the job. Doesn't matter what they look like or um, who they are inside, even. It matters whether they're right for that job, whether they're the best person for that job, whether they can do the best for that job. So it should be based on their merits, on what they actually can do, and whether they are actually good for the position that they're applying for. And that goes for both a new hire as well as someone that is moving up and getting a leadership role in a business or organization. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, about the crony staffing networks. These infect lots of businesses and cause problems in most of the businesses where they are. And they cause problems because you have people in that are getting passed up for those promotions or those jobs, and those people end up spiraling and having harder times and don't quite understand, and so they get down and they get depressed about it. So it really does affect a person's mental health when they get passed up, not based on merit, but they get passed up because so and so's got it in with the big boss. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. Oh, and then I kind of wanted to talk a little bit also about how it happens in bigger businesses, because there are some other things that can happen. So, first of all, if there are people that are in lower management in big corporations, but they want to develop this crony system because they want to be able to move the people they want into the positions they want them in. So they're wanting to develop a crony organization or crony staffing network inside the organization. Well, what they can do is, first of all, they need to get into a position. They need to get into a position where they have some control over the staffing. So whether that's over the people that get promoted, whether that's just people getting put in certain positions. So even if they're all floor workers, but you take this guy that's only got 2 years of experience over this guy that's got 5 years of experience, for example. That's also part of the crony network, and that is part of what you would want to get control of if you are trying to set up a crony network, a crony staffing network. So that's the first thing that you need to do. You need to get in a position where you can control some staffing. You don't have to be able to control it all, but you need to be able to control some of the staffing decisions. Then you want to expand your control over staffing decisions as much as possible. And one of the ways that you can do this is put people into positions, not based on merit, but based on um, whether they're going to be a good crony for you or not. So whether they're going to listen to you and pursue the same path as you, so that they'll honor the bro system or um, the network system. So basically, they'll make sure that they consider people in the network rather than out of the network when they have a decision or they get in a position where they have control over staffing. So that makes it so that the creator of the Crony staffing network, has now control over the position that they're in, as well as the control over the position the other person is in. And whether that's on the floor or that's up more, or that's in a management position, that's where you really want to be. So you want the head crony, he wants to be in charge of as much of the staffing as possible, especially manager positions, because if he's in charge of some of the manager positions, even the floor manager positions, then that crony can actually change a lot, because then he can put cronies in those um, management positions, and then those managers will also promote and encourage and give the benefits of the crony network, staffing network, to um, the cronies of the big boss. Basically, they'll give them preference, whether they have the merit to back that up or not. Um, so this crony staffing network, it can get organized in that way. So the head crony gets in the position, he puts other cronies into management positions, and then they put more cronies into the lower level positions. And then when there comes a necessity for a raise or a promotion or even a new hire being placed somewhere, well, then this crony network wants to make sure that one of their people are in it, or they want the new hire in their area, because then they can because if you get the person that's just barely new into the program or new into the organization uh, or the what's it called, the organization or the company, the business, if they're just brand new and you're able to get them in on a floor level in a crony part of the organization, then you can basically keep them in that crony network all the way up through. And they have some interest, but see, not only that, but you get them in that crony network, they're brand new, and then they get promoted faster than anybody else that came in new at the same time. Why? Because that whole crony network pushes them forward rather than allowing the other ones to maybe get an opportunity in those. So if the crony network has control of those positions, then they promote the new guy faster than they promote the other guys. And sometimes they'll even pass up some of their other cronies simply because they've already offered them something. They've already got them on board with the crony system. So this new guy, they want to get them on board with the crony system. And so they'll promote them into a position rather than pay attention to how long you've worked there, what merits you have for the position. They'll move you up. They'll move that new guy up simply because now that new guy owes them. That new guy is now locked into the crony system because the crony system, crony staffing network, is actually what's going to help them progress in the business. And that's what I'm saying. This is not a good system or network. It's not something that is right. It is wrong, but it is also legal. Not illegal, legal. I realize I almost said illegal, but it's not illegal. It is completely legal. It's something that gets done. And really, in the big corporations, sometimes you have a boss over the top of the head crony that understands the crony staffing networks, and they can actually come in and they can try and break that up. Basically, take away some of the staffing powers from that individual, or force them to work off of a merit-based system when they're staffing instead of off of the crony system, the crony staffing system. And they can basically stop that from happening. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. That's kind of the crony staffing networks and what they work like and how they work. So yeah, if you're ever curious, and I'm sure that you've probably worked jobs that have these crony systems in them, these crony networks in them. I I know that I've worked several jobs, and pretty much every one of the jobs I've worked has had at least a little bit of this crony staffing network or crony staffing system in it. So I wasn't touching my face there because I was lying. It's just that's it's just, I just had an itch on my face. I don't know. Because yeah, I know that a lot of people look into body language and try to read things into body language. So anyway, that's what the Crony Staffing Network is. That's how it works. That's how it operates. That's how it can get put into a business, or how it develops inside of a business. It can develop from the very beginning of the business or anytime throughout the business, as long as they're able to control staffing and they're able to push away and against any merit-based system of staffing or promotion. Sorry about my voice. The dry weather makes it so that my throat, especially in the early mornings when I record, can be kind of crackly. So we'll deal with that, but it is what it is. So like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment down below your interaction with the videos. It helps the videos out, helps them to go out to more people on the YouTube. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that at some point I'm going to get some of my videos censored or taken down for something or other. Who knows what, but I'm sure that eventually it's going to happen. So yeah, the more that you share and help my videos out, the more I really do appreciate it. See, I line up on the conservative side, and big tech, big media, they are crushing most channels, especially once they start getting bigger. Um, Mine is so small that they might just completely leave it alone, at least for a little while. But how long, I don't know. So anyways, I do appreciate it. Any interaction with the video that you can do on YouTube would be appreciated as well. You can interact with it as well on Facebook. I'm probably going to post it over there as well. But where it really matters is on YouTube. YouTube's the biggest platform. It's the platform where you can make it big, or you can make it not at all. And I would like to make it at some point. I'm not in a hurry, but more that you help me out, the faster I can get there. So anyways, that's all I've got for today, and or at least for this video. So I will, or no, you will see me in the next video. Thanks for watching.